today, guys, we're going to learn how to now not just write the formulas, but actually go from the names to the formula. So it's backwards of what we learned in the last segment, right?
That's true.
So there are also a set of rules, and you need to copy the rules down. These are the rules. Number one, name the cation, which is almost always a metal. Number two, use a Roman numeral if the element is a transition metal. And number three, name the anion. Got it? All right, so what example? What example would we do?
So in this case right here, I'm going to give you the formula first, and we're going to work backwards from it. So let's go CaF2.
All right, so the first rule says name the cation. Ca, calcium. Second rule says, is it a transition metal? And clearly here on the periodic table, you can see that calcium is not in the transition metal zone.
Group 2.
So we ignore rule 2. Rule 3 is name the anion. F.
Now, be really clear here. When you look on the periodic table, it's going to say fluorine.
Oh, yeah.
And when we deal with the names, we always drop the ending and add "ide." It becomes kind of sleek that way. So
it's not fluorine, it's fluoride.
So we're going to write fluoride. Now, you may look at this and go, whoa, 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 there's 2 fluorines. And let me share with you this. There's only one way to write calcium fluoride. In fact, remember how we did last video where we went, hey, here's Ca2+, and here's F-. I want to prove a point here to you. If we want to balance these 2 off, wouldn't we need a second fluorine right here?
And it becomes CaF2.
And it becomes CaF2. So by default, we don't have to write di or some of those things you might be interested in trying to do.
So let's do another example. What's example are you thinking of there, Mr.?
Let's go crazy, right?
Crazy, awesome, crazy.
Let's go Al2 and let's go S3.
Al2S3, dialuminum trisulfide. No. Don't do that. Okay, so what's the rule number 1? Name the cation.
Name the cation.
It's aluminum. That's it. Don't worry about the number.
It's aluminum, and then also you need to realize, and the second part of this is it part of the transition metals?
No, you can see on the periodic table right here that the aluminum is not in the transition metal zone, so he is just aluminum.
Which is
no
nice.
Roman numeral needed. And then we name the anion. Sulfur becomes sulfide.
Cute. Don't ever write sulfuride.
Yeah, it's just sulfide, by the way.
Sulfide.
So just aluminum sulfide. That's it. It's easy.
It's done.
Now those were really easy, weren't they, folks?
Yep.
But now they get a little trickier. We have to play the Roman numeral game.
Yeah.
So we want to do an example of the Roman numeral. Now you're going to see where there is an issue. Okay, so give me an example of a Roman numeral. Maybe
let's go cobalt, and let's go Br2.
So cobalt, CoBr2. So first of all, rule number 1 is name the cation. So the cation's name is cobalt.
Which I kind of let slip out here at the beginning. Sorry for the spoiling the surprise.
And then, is cobalt a transition metal? The answer is yes. Take a look at the periodic table. Cobalt is a transition metal. So we have to then figure out his charge. We don't know what it is. We're going to put a Roman numeral in there. And then name his last name. Let's go ahead and do this.
This is bromine, but becomes bromide. And I always like to do, it's personal preference, I always like to leave a little space here with the Roman numeral parentheses. That way you don't have to worry about like, hey, or forget about having to go back here and finish this.
So now what we have to do is we have to take this compound and break it apart. So it's what? CoBr. Now we have to figure out the charge of the cobalt. Now we don't know the charge of the cobalt, but one thing we always know is the charge of the anion. So we go back to our periodic table. We find that bromide has a charge of 1 negative. So we write 1 negative next to each of them. And now we have to figure out, mathematically, I know this is super hard math, what is the charge of the cobalt? Noting there's only 1 cobalt. So of course it's going to be +2 or 2 positive. So what Roman numeral goes up there?
Whatever the charge is.
+2. Or just, it's a Roman numeral 2 to indicate that it's a 2 charge.
True story.
Let's do another example.
Let's try it.
All right, again, iron, and Fe is iron, so name the cation. So iron. Is iron a transition metal? Yes.
Spoiler alert.
So you have to put the parenthesis ball game in there. And then O is simply oxide. But now we still have to figure out the charge of the iron. So we need to write out what we've got, Fe, O. And we don't know the charge of the iron, but we know the charge of the O. Look it up on your periodic table. Right, his charge is 2-. But there are 3 of them, so Mr. Dmitrowicz is doing -2, -2, -2. He's saying that adds up to 6-. So this needs to add up to 6 positive. So what charge does each iron have to have? You might realize, think it's like 2x equals 6, right? A little mathy stuff, right? So it's,
Did you use algebra right
I
there?
just used algebra.
Oh.
So it's like 3, right? Do you see
Both
how
these
it's
have
three?
to be 3. So in order for this to equal 6, this has to be 3, this has to be 3, and then the Roman numeral we placed in here.
So you put 3 there. Now watch this. Sometimes I see students put a 6 in there thinking it's the total charge. It's the charge of the individual iron. It's confusing. You might say, wait a second, Mr. Bergmann, it's iron 2 because there's 2 irons. No, 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 no. It's the charge. It's the charge!
It's the
Charge! We got a charge. Okay, we're going to do one more example. What's this example you want to tell
Let's
us
go with SNO. We're big
SN.
fans of O's.
So SN, of course, name the cation is 10.
10. By the way, can I jump in here? Because we've been saying over and over again the transition metals, the ones in the middle.
Yeah.
But I want to point out to you that, remember, we have tin and lead, if you take a look on the periodic table here, that are actually, they're not part of the transition metals, but they have Roman numerals.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, and then, so we're gonna play that game, and then O, parentheses, of course, and then we're gonna say oxide, right? And now we've got SN and O, so why don't we rest SN and O? I think this, guys, this is an easy one.
It really ends up being
O's charge. We always know the anions charge and O's charge is -2, so SN's charge has to be like 2, right?
yeah, +2.
So
or 2.
Roman numeral is a dos.
And there you go.
So that's how you write the formulas, or the names from the formulas, or whatever I said, backwards.
Yeah, it works, and I'll make sure next time to turn off my phone during recording.
Yes. All right, you'll see you guys in class.
See you later.